Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Uchu Sentai Kyuranger episode 24. The episode numbers are actually pretty easy to remember this week because they're just flip-flop. It's 24 and 42. Unless somehow I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I am, and then I look like an idiot. But I don't think I am. I'm like 80% sure. Anyway, so this episode was sort of the continuation of Houoh Soldier's introduction in a way, or more like his induction into the group. It was kind of like what I talked about last week with that episode of the two Reds sort of clashing. And it was pretty much par for the course, like, predictable in a way. It wasn't bad. I liked the episode. I thought it was pretty solid, but it was nothing revolutionary in terms of what it did. It was just kind of the classic situation of Houoh Soldier had lost allies in the past. Specifically one that we focused on in some little like mini flashbacks that had sacrificed himself in the past. So, we kind of learned that that's why he's so apprehensive about the other Kyurangers, getting hurt, which is kind of weird because on one hand he was like, oh, you should be my shield, but then he's like, I don't want them to get hurt. But I guess part of that could be because he's trying to push them away. I don't know. It was a little bit mixed messages, but it was pretty par for the course stuff. I mean, we've seen, that's the word of this review, or words, par for the course. Phrase of this review. There we go. But we've seen that in all kinds of toku and other TV of like somebody that hasn't passed where they had allies hurt, so they don't want the new ones hurt. So it was kind of like that. It was nice to get a little bit more of like flashbacks visually just to see a little bit of that time back then. Like I said, last couple weeks, I'm really hoping we get more of that. Not only just for him, but for like the Kyuranger mythos in general. I hope that kind of gets fleshed out a little bit. But so that was neat. It mainly focused on Tsurgi and Lucky. How can I forget that dude's name? He says it all the time. Like, being the ones that are having a hard time getting along. It would have been kind of nice to have one more about him meshing with the whole team, but I think Lucky was, for whatever reason, usually since he's the most like obnoxious toku-friendly character, he was like the most resistant of him joining, so I guess that made sense. And like I said, the two Reds thing, but like basically everybody was kidnapped except Sparta and Raptor, who got sent on another mission, which we found out about at the end. But so mainly focused on those two getting along, and like they were all shocked that those two got along when they got freed from this trap. But yeah, it was just pretty much basic stuff, but I did like it. I thought it was at least pretty well done in terms of doing that. I do think like at the end there, it seems weird to say because we spent 3 episodes on this, but it seemed kind of quick. Like, oh, I don't really want to work with you guys, you're my shields, whatever, legendary, I'm a jerk. And then at the end of the episode, he's like, I have an ID too? It's like, I kind of just want a little bit more of a balance, like, after his episodes, getting him to get along with them, it could be more of a person that's kind of on the side but will ally with them and then maybe later moves onto the ship. It's just weird because it felt so quick there at the end after spending a little bit drawn out time on it. But basically, like I said, it was all basic stuff, but I did enjoy it. And it led to the debut of Kyutamajin, which is like Shishi Voyager and Houoh Voyager combining with all 12 main Kyutama to basically create this light bulby looking mecha, which I'm very okay with. I did the review on it a couple days ago, so you can check that out, and I talked about the design a little bit, but I like Giga Houoh a lot more than, like, this one. It's kind of a weird mix of like, oh, it's kind of neat because it's making use of the Kyutama theme, but it also looks really stupid, and I hate those like larger formations leading to the final that leave bits out. And right now only, at least in this episode, only Lucky and Tsurgi pilot it right now. And that kind of bothered me. Like, I don't expect all 12 to pilot it all the time because all 12 aren't always in the field. But it would be nice to have it. It just seems weird to have a formation that's kind of like along the lines of leading to the final form. Like, with Zyuohger we had the one with like all 9, so it was piloted by more people. Before we got to Whale and stuff like that. So it just seems kind of weird, but like, so it would be kind of nice, like if we have a team of 5 or 6 on the ground for those to be the ones that pilot it, and then it would just be kind of neat eventually to get all 12 like to pilot at one time. But it just seems weird, like because it's almost like when the Red Ranger gets his own Megazord, except it's 2 Red Rangers. So I don't know. But I'm very okay on that transformation. We didn't destroy one of the main, like, new general guys that just came out, just his, like, subordinate for this episode. The other guy lived to fight another day. And they got IDs, which I think I mentioned. And we are bleeding into the next plot, which is where he sent Sparta and Raptor. Speaking of, before I forget that, I liked that bit. I thought that was kind of funny that like Sparta and Raptor were kind of assigned to Houoh Soldier, which was kind of part of the reason that I liked the idea of him staying separate. Is like that, having that little team for a bit, or maybe later on being like, okay, Sparta and Raptor, you're, you know, off duty, let's give them like Balance and Hammy or something. And I don't know, like I thought that was kind of a neat way of making use of the team spreading out a bit. But it turns out they got sent off to find this Kyutam would allow them to travel in time, and then they mentioned, oh, you're gonna go back in time and make sure that Dawn's defeated. That sounds funny because I'm thinking of Hakase from Gokaiger right now in my head. Like, he's the main villain now all of a sudden. No, but so that was, I was like, oh crap, are they gonna pull a Dino Charge where they just like rewrite everything and it doesn't make sense? But no, he says he wants to go back to find out what happened, which I thought the thought of bringing up rewriting everything was like kind of interesting that they brought it up. I'm kind of glad they're not gonna do it, because if they do, this is too far to think about it because we're only about halfway through, but if that was the ending, I would want something where they kind of remembered it. I'd rather have more of a liberated ending where they win, you know, and liberate the galaxy instead of just resetting it. But I do like the thought of changing that up, not only just what they said outright, but your first thought when he mentioned the time travel one is no, he's not going to go back and change it, he just wants to go back and find out what happened. And it's funny because in this week's flashback, maybe I just didn't notice it before, but like it showed Dawn in the past with his hoodie and stuff, and so that's what he kind of always looked like. So I kind of thought maybe like the Shrouded in Mystery bit was a new thing, and that was kind of going to be part of the explanation of a reveal of like what happened to him. Is like we find out either he's disfigured or he's somebody else. Like I'm really interested in finding out about that. I get a feeling that it was just has something to do with his powers or something he did, but I just think it would be more interesting if it was somebody that took his place somehow, or maybe somebody that somehow took his place when he thought he destroyed him. So I'm not sure, but again, I'm impressed the way Kyurangers actually managed to keep their arcs rolling. Not only just compared to Zyuohger and like Ninja, but other Sentai as well, because they've actually done a pretty steady job of having like 2 to 5 episode arcs. And then like this was the ending of basically Houoh Soldier's introductory arc, and then at the end we sort of began the next arc. And we've been steadily doing that ever since Commander and Ryotaro. That's Den-O. Kotaro. Debuted. Like we just kept going from arc to arc, and they're all connected, so kudos to them. Speaking of Kotaro, next week is a focus episode on him, so that should be interesting, I guess. But yeah, overall this is a pretty solid episode. I'd probably get about an 8. Nothing revolutionary, but just kind of a solid, like, standard episode of its kind. But anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Dawson Rider, signing out.